Now it's working. Perfect. Great. So I've been giving a background as to piano somatics, what it means, the conscious use of the self, the conscious use of the body, the conscious use of physical organization. But maybe since some of you weren't here the first couple of days, I could recap a little bit. So the old finger action school said, move the fingers and then you're going to play great. So they had Czerny and all the others, athletes, always lifting the fingers and moving the fingers. And that probably worked well for many generations because they probably did it in a well-organized way. But eventually it came to be this total isolation of the finger. Because if I lift my finger and my arm goes along for the ride, it's actually quite it feels good, I don't feel stressed, and it gives a lovely sound. And it leads to brilliance and free movement. But the same thing, like a perversion of it, a caricature of it, and put the eraser on the wrist and make sure it doesn't fall off. Well, that's a recipe for disaster and tendonitis and awful music making. So then the arm weight people came along and said, oh, well, we're going to use the arm, and then everything gets nice and relaxed, and let the weight of the arm move the key. So, again, for certain generations which already had really well-trained fingers, that worked very well, because they achieved a lovely cooperation between finger and arm. However, when you over-relax, then that dead weight ends up again creating a dead sound. It might be nice and fat, and yet it's not that musical because it ends up being a bunch of independent musical events instead of a line. A singing line is achieved when the arm joins notes while the fingers are busy producing the notes. Yeah? So, as a young musician, I was not very well educated, but I had ears, and so I could hear the results of this kind of fingery playing or this kind of weighted playing, and I thought there's got to be something better, because you listen to the recordings of Rachmaninoff, or even you watch Horowitz, and he's doing something different, and the sonic results, the musical results are very different. But I thought maybe if I understand human movement per se better, then I'll be able to come up with some answers. And so I did a Feldenkrais training. And Feldenkrais is all about the skeleton. Well, not really, but yes, the Feldenkrais uses the brain's treatment of the skeleton. Do not disturb. So we are a skeleton, but the muscles are attached to the skeleton, the nerves animate the muscles. But if we had no skeleton, we would have no form. We would be like a jellyfish. And many physiotherapists and everything, they pay a lot of attention to the muscles, but not so much attention to the skeletal structure that those muscles are using. So the Feldenkrais practitioner, he will begin moving a client extremely gently, so gently that the client wonders if there's any movement going on here at all. But in this extreme gentleness, they're sensing exactly where each bone is in the skeleton and how they're relating and how the muscles are allowing the movement to happen. And so when it's so gentle, the nerves start getting a better picture, and the sensory nerves start sending a richer impression, a richer physical impression to the brain, and the brain starts thinking, oh, wait a minute, why am I tensing this muscle? This muscle is blocking this bone from folding in against that bone. If I let it go, then the movement becomes easier. So by accessing the skeleton, the Feldenkrais practitioner establishes a conversation with the sensory motor cortex. And that's why the astonishing changes take place in Feldenkrais method, because it's not therapy, it's not stretching, it's not massage, it's not mechanical relaxation, it's neurological relaxation. And so the human brain is 3 times as large proportionally to the body weight as any other animal. And largely because we have to manage walking around on 2 legs. So the animals walk around on 4. They're in a state of stable balance, stable equilibrium. And we're the only ones who get up on 2 legs and then have to manage balancing even on 1 leg. The birds do it, but their main locomotion is with the wings, so they don't really do the leg thing so well. But we have this amazing pelvis that smooths out the transfer of weight from one to the other. And that takes a lot of computing power. And we have thumbs that oppose to the fingers, which is more complex in terms of grasping than grasping the way monkeys do. So the whole idea of this skeleton is to bring the skeleton to a state of verticality. It means gravity is not pulling me down. And I'm not struggling against gravity, don't pull me down. No, I feel, gravity shows me which way I can move, which way I can maintain my balance and my potential for free movement. When I'm in a state of unstable equilibrium, I can move in any direction without preparation. Therefore, my muscles are in their freest possible state. So, take that to the hand at the piano, remembering that the hand is a mini body with an ankle, knee, hip joint, pelvis, torso, and head. Then, playing the piano like this would be like doing a goose step. Yeah? Playing the piano like this, feeling the weight, would be like walking. Oh, I'm going to feel my body weight. Oh, I'm going to feel my body weight. Oh, it's so great. We don't walk like that. No. Every step I take re-establishes how I harmonize with gravity. So we don't walk with our head bobbing up and down like this, and yet when I take a step there is a little up, because here my knee is bent, my hip joint comes forward. Oh, now this hip joint is a little higher. And now, oh wait a minute, now this one's a little higher. And so you see the pelvis is doing this kind of flattened out figure 8. So there is a little bit of up in the step. So many, like the Russian school, they talk about the arch of the hand, and it really works well. But if they just realize that it's not just a shape, it's a function, it's an action. Feldenkrais actually coined a new word. Instead of posture, my posture is good, my acture is good. How, if my posture is good, it's good because I moved into it and through it and beyond it to another nice one, to another nice one, to another nice one. All of them created by muscles working harmoniously together instead of holding myself in a particular posture which I think is good. Stand up straight. No. Grow up straight, inflate up straight, levitate up straight, and then move on. So this wonderful arch, hand arch, which has so much potential for beautiful sound, becomes a preferred musical instrument for the pianist when it's brought to life. And it's brought to life by not just having a shape, a posture, but an acture. There's inner movement of the hand arch. So now, every time I allow my finger to stand up fully, oh, it stood up fully, I'm ready to go on. So the standing action naturally leads my arm to totally access its rightful function. Fingers make tones, the arm joins the tones. As soon as I go to the weighted touch, even if I have a beautiful relaxation move, I'm mixing the functions. That arm is designed solely to join them. Any articulation I have. This still shows up in pianists, even really world-class pianists, many of whom have fingers. Their fast playing is so, I would give my right arm to have fingers like that, right? Or their soft playing is amazingly beautiful and sonorous and beautiful textures and colors and poetic emotions. And when they go to forte, still somewhere in the self-image is the need to add some weight. I achieve my forte with weight. And if they only knew, just stand up, but stand up quicker. And then all of a sudden, there's no impact. Because even if you do this, round your arms out and soften the blow, you soften the blow, there's still a blow, there's still a moment of impact, because you're falling, yeah? So it's, you fall, you hear there's that much sound coming out of the case of the piano, not the strings, the case. And if you stand up, you play much louder, and there's none of this knocking. Therefore, the string has a purer vibration, because these vibrations are not traveling into the soundboard and interfering with the string. And you can hear that. Here's with impact. Here's without impact. And if it's a good piano, a Steinway is wonderful. The Steinway is extremely sensitive to every little aspect of the way you produce a sound. It's very stuffy in here.
It's going to be
oh, okay, okay, let's close the doors. Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe just one more.
Yeah. So, I've been talking about this for a couple of days now and giving various examples. So today I thought I would go to the repertoire and see how these things work in practice, and see how a couple of things that we come across very often in the repertoire actually work better if you take the piano somatics approach and understand that this is not just a very valuable skeletal structure, but it becomes incredibly capable when it's brought to life by the standing action. Many people, they read my first book, The Craft of Piano Playing. It's all about the arches of the hand, and you stand up that arch, and the arch is so strong that even if you put weight on the keystone, it gets stronger, not weaker. And then I get pianists coming to me, and you see it again, I have a really good arch. Yeah, but it's got to move. So that's why I wrote a second book, where the honing the pianistic self-image. Okay, let's get really focus on unstable equilibrium and how to have it for you and always moving with you. Yeah. The third book talks about the thumb, which is a special case because it's so different. It's opposite to the fingers. And the fourth book, the one here, lies the hand down as a baby lies down for a year before they stand. Feldenkrais said, nobody learns to walk by walking. The baby raises the head. It's the beginning of extension. The baby looks over the shoulder. It's the beginning of rotation. All these actions which are integrated into the complex movement of walking are learned over a full year. So in this book I take the hand back into a kind of an infantile pre-standing state, so that when you finally stand up, it happens naturally because the neuromotor system has gone through a profound preparation to make it easy and natural. So how about we can do different things. If you have questions, if you have anything you'd like to discuss, please let me know. But for instance, Chopin nocturnes, the left hand in a Chopin nocturne often has a beautiful bass tone and a beautiful melody tone. So if we take piano somatics and apply it to this and realize that the harmonic tones of a nocturne in the left hand are often, they're not really notes. They're more just like a colorful enhancement of the bass tone. We all know about harmonics, so the first harmonic here is here, the second harmonic is here, the third harmonic is here, the fourth is here. So what if it wasn't bum ba da 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 da, but what if it was this? Do you hear this third harmonic? Do you hear the fourth harmonic? So by changing the musical function, I get a completely different sonic result. And now, but wait a minute, you said stand up. If I stand up, then I have to, when I stand up, my foot pushes the ground down and my legs unfold and up I go. So if I stand up, I'm going to get a big healthy sound. But there's something called a bouncy castle. The balloon houses where the kids walk around on the floor, but they never touch the floor. The ground is down there and they're up. So they're walking on air. And the piano has this escapement where you go 2/3 of the way down and the whip-in catches on the jack and then it goes off for the last third. So if I imagine that I'm walking on a bouncy castle and I stand up, but I float my arm a little more, so it's almost like I'm standing in midair. Yeah? Color that shimmering harmony in any one of 100 ways because I'm amazingly sensitive to the hammer. So it's by understanding not only the standing action in the hand itself, but how it can be modified to create different kinds of sonority. Then I'm accessing a whole new poetic voice, that can come out of this instrument. If I use weighted technique, I can make it sound very beautiful, but it's not the same beauty. It's more homogeneous. This one is multi-layered. And because the notes are actually softer, but they're less forced, they're just evoked. You coax the note out of the piano. There's more space between each note. So let's say I have 6 trees in the forest. If it's a big thick oak tree with this big, there's hardly room for the next one. But here I've got like nice thin pine trees. And so and so suddenly you hear, they're sort of dancing and jangling between each other, and you could hear Chopin's polyrhythms. You hear. You can hear multiple things going. All because I visualize this not as a note, but as a coloration of the bass's harmonic. So that can be a wonderful thing. Let's switch gears totally. Alberti basses. So the Alberti bass, the bass note is the main one. So we spend all our time sort of stressing that and trying to not bang this one. But because everybody's thumb tends to play like this, because the thumb doesn't know that its stand-up is very different from a finger stand. The finger stands, the finger's hip joint goes up. The thumb stands, it actually pushes down and pushes the hand up. The thumb pushes down to raise the other hip joints up, but he stays under. Now most of the people, like most pianists, let's say you have to play an interval like, everybody will drop this hip joint to get to the thumb note. Of course, then your hand structure is gone. The function of that structure is gone. It's empty, it's falling down, it's emptying out, it's clamped already. But it doesn't occur to the pianist that if I'm standing here, I can stand laterally and get to the thumb note without sacrificing the integrity and the function of the inner part of the hand. Yeah? So now, I've managed to play this note, not by falling into it, as many of us do, but by touching it, and the way my thumb touches the hand is supported by, the way the thumb touches the note is supported by the way the finger and the hand are standing. Yeah? So, how many of you have students where you hear this and they're falling into the thumb? So, in piano somatics, we understand this thing about the thumb's weird structural relationship to the rest of it, and we do an exercise where we stand on the thumb and we rotate on the thumb as if the thumb was a screwdriver. And this strengthens the thenar group, which is the largest muscle group in the hand. And many people, when you play with the thumb by flexing it, you don't even use the biggest bone of the thumb, the metacarpal bone. When you use the metacarpal bone then all of a sudden that's not a thumb flexion anymore, it's a thumb opposition. So, to sidetrack, do we put the thumb under in scales? If you flex it like that, no, you do not put the thumb under in scales, because it tenses the hand, it pulls the hand down into a collapse, and then you're just all bound up and tense. However, that's because I understood putting the thumb under as a flexion, which only uses 2 bones of the thumb. Now, do I put the thumb under in a scale? I'm going to use my metacarpal bone, the whole bone. Oh my goodness. When I oppose my thumb to the finger, it's going under the hand, but the whole thumb is going under the hand, therefore the hand gets out of the way. So by the time the thumb got under the hand, it's not under the hand. I step and do not step into the same river, said Heraclitus. Yeah? So I do and do not put my thumb under. I put it under, but it's not under. It's under, but it's not under, because the hand got out of the way. That happens because I oppose using all 3 bones of my thumb instead of flexing, which uses only half the thumb. So now, back to our Alberti bass. Oh, a thumb screwdriver. Oh, it's a whole thumb. All these muscles are getting strengthened. I can use that as a pivot now to go like this. So all of a sudden I've made the top note of the Alberti bass the main note, which is musically, it's going to make sense, but it seems like it does not make any sense, right? So, bam, I pivot and rotate, You can try it on your knee if you want, and you see it. Like, it's unfamiliar for many of us because these muscles don't know how to activate to carry the whole hand in a pivot situation, yeah? So here, I can do the same thing with my 3rd finger, and then... So,